guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to do an update to a video I covered last week, which is titled, While Wife Thinks She Got Away With It, Military Husband is Playing the Long Game to Truly Unleash You-Know-What. And as a recap, because it's been a week, that's about the guy who wrote in on behalf of his buddy here. This guy's been following the channel for a while, asked his friend if he could write in about his story, hearing what I think and you guys think. And it's basically, as you all recall, his friend, both of them were in the military, and his friend was severely injured. He spent a lot of time in the hospital and recovery and all that, still is actually. And he's playing the long game to end his marriage and leave his wife, or have her kick her out. After early in the marriage, he's absolutely convinced that she was cheating on him. And he realizes that since the kids are still relatively young, he has 3 of them, that if he ended things with her now, he's going to get raked over the coals, as what happens with guys. She'll get the kids, the house, all that stuff, and it's a big giant mess. And instead of putting himself through that and the kids through that, he decided to stay in the marriage and just wait till the kids are out of the house and then kicked her to the curb. And I might add, when she's lost a lot of her looks, when it's not as easy. And a lot of people listen to this story, and just 2 main comments you guys had in the comment section was, number 1, how is this guy absolutely certain? Because it sounded like he didn't have any concrete proof. It's just that he knows or knew something was up and knows these stories based on her behavior and all that. That was a serious concern people had. And 2, one of my concerns was that this guy is just building up so much rage inside of him, because he's understandably, obviously, upset and angry. He's had a very tough life given what's happened to him on multiple fronts. But still, and I expressed the need that he should probably be in some therapy so it just doesn't build up and he does something awful. But anyhow, guys, he's writing in, or his friends are writing him on his behalf, to answer a lot of questions that a lot of you guys had and all that, both from me as well as you guys. So I'm giving this guy a chance to be heard here, because I don't want another guy to make a really bad decision and impact his life and other people's lives and his kids and all that. So I'm going to go through this, not too long, and you guys will be able to hear more about what's going on, for those of you, of course, that were interested. He says here, "Hey SSM, we saw your video and thank you for keeping it vague. My friend agreed with many of the points that you made, and I asked him about the questions you raised, since you did make some very good points. The leave now argument that everybody has, basically it's just too big of a risk right now. Too many variables that are beyond control unless you are in the situation. You react instead of act. You'll lose the initiative. Think of it this way. If you are ambushed, then your opponent gets to choose everything. When, where, how the fight will happen, which is always on your detriment. Here, the judge is the ambusher, and no matter how much he prepares, he always has to react to the judge's rulings. Sure, a lawyer can help you prepare as much as possible, but at the end of the day, all the choice remains in the hands of the judge. In today's world, a family court judge is about as fair as facing down a 10-to-1 ambush where they get tanks and you get a potato gun." That pretty much sounds about right, for guys at least. Yeah. You might eventually win, but it will be a hard fight, and no way are you coming out of it unscathed. By doing the long game, he takes away her biggest weapon, which is the kids. Plus, it turns out he has been rescheduling how to protect the remaining assets. Or he's been researching how to protect his remaining assets. Well, good. Now again, I'm all for end the marriage, move on. Why suffer? Why spend all these years? I mean, it's a fair argument that I have, and a lot of people have that. But if he's convinced that she'll get the kids, and you've heard the stories, gentlemen, of how a lot of these wives are spiteful, vindictive, will make it impossible for the husband to see the kids, and yeah, the husband can go back to court, then they start throwing accusations, and it gets ugly. I've done stories about this. So this guy, his kids are his happiness. He doesn't want them to be without a father. He's going to endure this. It's his choice. He said, I saw a lot of comments about her getting half of his pension. But he does not get a pension. He gets disability from being wounded, which is a whole other ballgame. I won't get long-winded on the illegalities of it, but there is a way to protect your disability payment from an ex-spouse. Yeah, I think they can get your pension, but they can't get your disability, something like that. They can only get part of it if you made the choice to give up a pension to get disability instead. Some guys make that choice because disability is tax-free, where a pension is not. He didn't make that choice. He never completed his 20 years because he was too badly wounded to stay in any longer. Due to the fact that his payments are much more protected and can be judgment-proof, yes, it's possible for the spouse to get a piece, but in his case, it's less likely. And if she did, it would likely be smaller. Think 20% instead of 50%. Okay, well, he should get all that money. Also, she can't get any of it if it can be argued that it would hurt the veteran to do so. If he is leaving his spouse for cause, that would mean he would now need someone else to provide the caregiver role. It could easily be argued in his case that he can't afford to support her off his disability payments. It's more than enough for a bachelor to retire if he just wants a quiet life, though. Well, I don't know many bachelors that don't want a quiet life. It's interesting, guys. They always joke about the men, how men are old curmudgeons and grumpy old men and all that. At the end of the day, we just have dealt with so much bullshit in life. We just want peace and quiet in our final years before we just croak. Really. Nobody gets that except the guy. I did agree that it sounds like he's carrying too much inside and it might cause him to blow up. That's what I've been thinking, still do. He was rather matter-of-fact about it. He feels that he can't change his past choices, so all he can do is affect how the future plays out. He feels his plan is more about justice rather than revenge. If he just wanted to hurt her all at cost, he would simply just leave now, since that would do more damage. Yeah, but then it would do a lot of damage to him. He said he's made peace with his life a while ago, but that he is getting therapy to help him. Well, great. If he's getting therapy, that's awesome. It turns out he's carrying a lot of guilt from the friends that we lost, which I can fully understand. To give a very brief background, we were in some hot areas. We kept getting back from mission after mission without losing anyone. After my friend was wounded, he was laid up in the military hospital for a while, and we continued on with the missions. While he was in the hospital, we lost a close friend who was shot while on patrol. He blames himself, thinking it was his fault since he wasn't there when it happened. It's not his fault. Yes, we all know it wasn't his fault, but it was really eating him up. Turns out he's been getting therapy for a while to work on that and quiet down from the rage a bit while he is at it. I think for him, the guilt of not being there is more pressing issue rather than anger. He feels her behavior was horrible, but it's not like she offed anyone. I gotta watch what I say here. She's human and imperfect like the rest of us, but not evil. Basically, he said to tell you not to worry since he has no plans of ever climbing a bell tower. Well, that's good to hear. But then again, do the guys that climb the bell towers actually plan on climbing the bell towers for a long time? Or they just, things build up and then they choose to climb up the bell tower? It's a fair question. I'll paraphrase his thoughts on it, but it comes down to him not seeing any reason to act now. Everything is within his control, and he has his kids full-time. He knows there's absolutely no way to leave now that he keeps his kids full-time. The best he could ever do, it would be half, and he would have to fight like hell to get his half. He said you should sit back and think about his very specific situation. He says, well, what do you think a family court judge would do with a disabled veteran who can't drive, walks with a cane at best, has severe PTSD documented, the government knows he's off people, requires medication to function, has severe memory issues, and now wants to have his kids alone with him? Yep, that's a fair point, and most judges would, well, you know what that means. All he has done for this country would be turned against him as you know it. A family court judge would deem him unfit without supervision, and he would lose his kids. I see where he's coming from. I hadn't thought about it before, but he's right. Women are vile when scorned, and she knows everything to use against him. He would have to pray for a sympathetic judge to get an unsupervised visitation. He said he could either have the fight of his life, or let the wife keep sucking his you-know-what until he's done with her. Come on, which would you choose? Well, he said the guy mentioned that the wife's pretty, so, you know. Thinking about it now, I fully understand his reasoning. In the end, he really doesn't have a choice. If he leaves her now, do you really think she wouldn't do everything to try and take the kids from him? He'd be painted as a monster, and his kids would grow up hating him. She could go out of her way to teach them how to do everything wrong in life, and it's his fault. Not to mention his income might be protected more from alimony, but it sure as hell won't be against child support payments. The way he looks at things is that he gets everything he wants by staying for now and leaving later. No family court drama, be with the kids full time. She takes care of his needs, including the normal wife duties, his cooking and cleaning. He said he even has a plan as to how the discussion will come up later, and he finds out about her cheating, then it doesn't look like he played the long game against mommy. Well, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, as Mike Tyson said, so I hope he remembers this. Remember, women aren't stupid. Well, most of them aren't. Hell, I'm willing to bet that if she knew what he was thinking, she would probably agree to the plan, since it means that she gets taken care of for well over a decade instead of having to fend for herself in this shit economy. Isn't that why so many women baby trap men anyway, to guarantee years of being set? That's exactly why. That's also why so many women will get together with guys they have zero interest in or attraction to, because they want a ring on their finger for security, for resources. And they know that guy ain't going to leave them. Then sadly they can have fun with Chad and Tyrone on the side. I still think it's a cruel in a way, but now that he told me the rationale behind it, I don't see that he has much of a choice. I do plan to keep talking with him about it, since he finally opened up to someone about it. At least this way he doesn't have to carry it alone, because that would be a lot for anyone. That's great that you're there for him. Really. And you're someone that has been in his shoes in terms of combat situations and losing a friend and can understand. So that's good he has you. I don't know if the therapist is military. That'd be helpful. Due to the family court system being so corrupt, it forces men to make choices they may not have otherwise made. In our unit, we sadly had one more other guy off himself when he came home due to the shit that they returned to. Like I said in the previous email, one guy did a offing himself. I can't say this because YouTube's crazy, but basically this guy came back from service who lost it and did something to himself and the not so better half, due to his wife cleaning him out and giving all his possessions to her new boyfriend. Another one is in prison for offing someone for the same thing that happened to him. Another guy just took himself out because his ex had cleaned him out so badly that he lost all hope. My God, this is why. Don't get married in the military. Just these stories keep coming. And how many of you guys have seen these shows on TV that go on many seasons about, I can't think of the names of these shows, but basically military type of shows. I think one's with the actor David Borealis, whatever his name is. I think it's The Unit or something. And do you think they show these type of things that happen to these guys in their family lives? All the girlfriends and wives cheating and all that, and taking them to the cleaners when they're deployed and all that? Probably not. I don't watch them, but I'm guessing probably not. Because otherwise more guys probably wouldn't do this. It's terrible. It's despicable. Personally, I think it should be a crime to cheat on your spouse while they're deployed. Funny enough, it's a crime for us military guys. Yeah, how about that? If they're deployed and they're caught cheating, yeah, they're in trouble. Really. But if the wife's back home, hey, no big deal. It's bullshit. If a service member climbs into bed with another guy's wife, he can be imprisoned for it, but the wife faces no consequences at all. Okay, here's a question. What if you have a female military, what if you have a female soldier or a member of the armed services who's a female and she cheats? Is it the same thing for her? And what if her guy's back home and he cheats on her? Anyway, have to bring that up. Just another example of the legal system not holding women accountable for their actions. Anyway, keep up the good fight. I have a young son myself, and he'll be taught about SSM when he's old enough to understand. Young men today need to hear these stories and how badly things can go for them if they aren't smart enough at protecting themselves. Semper Fi. Well, bro, I appreciate you writing in and clarifying some issues here. And again, to your friend, sir, I wish you all the best. Please take it one day at a time. I'm glad you have this good friend here to talk to confide in. I'm glad to hear that you're doing some therapy. I really do hope that helps, And everything works out for you, but I just don't want you to go through life full of anger and all that. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to climb a bell tower, but just walking around with that rage. But that you really think everything through. But I understand your rationale behind all this, and you don't want your kids to suffer, and you know darn well what can happen if you end it with her. It's your life, you're allowed to do that, and very likely she'll get the kids and all that, and you'll be raked over the coals, and their kids won't have their father, and you won't have them, and we all know what happened. And I believe the guy who wrote the story on your behalf said that you have all sons, or at least a couple sons. We all know what happens when boys are totally raised by their moms. Doesn't mean that mom doesn't love them and isn't trying, but she's not a man, and boys need a male role model. I know people that have kids and daughters and sons, and raised by the single mom, because there's a divorce. And while the daughters seem to be doing pretty well, the boys are lost and aimless because they didn't have that male role model there. It happens too many times. Boys need a father. Girls need a father too. But it's the same way if a father was raising a daughter. She needs her mother too, but of course the right mother. So I understand where you're coming from based on this decision, but I really do hope in the end things work out in a good way. So I appreciate you writing in this whole thing here. I know a lot of people have different mixed opinions on the whole subject. That's just how it's going to be. But I asked for opinions. I'm going to get opinions on the story. So I wish you, sir, who wrote this in the best. I wish your buddy the best. And hopefully it's a good ending. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Any questions you may have for this guy, just put in the comment section. He may write back. He may not. I don't know. But go ahead, comment away. And guys, you got a good story to share, definitely email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Or if you have a question you want to ask me about a situation you're going through, something you need help in, something you need the help from the community in, send it over. I do these Ask SSMs usually once or twice a week on average, and I might be able to help you out. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.